In this lecture, we're going to look at adding movement to a character. Actually, you can add it to any element, so a shape or text, stuff like that. But this is primarily, there's multiple ways to move things. We're going to look at a custom movement, which is the way that I like to move characters. Originally, this lecture was going to be about walking and driving, but I decided it's going to end up too long because I really want to get into some specific things. So I'm just going to do the walk sequence. We're going to have a character walk across the screen. So let's jump over to Create Studio and I'll show you how this works. Here we are in Create Studio, and I'm going to create a blank project. We're going to call it Character Movement. Make it 1080p and change its background to white. I'm really getting into the white here. Now, what we want to do is add a character. Let's go to Studio because we're picking characters which are internal to Create Studio and not importing. And I'll come to character. Let's see if Sam is ready. So I've downloaded Sam in preparation for this. Let's bring Sam over here. And he's pretty good. Let's center him on the screen. He is centered on the screen. And notice he came up with an idle action. Now what we're going to want to do is give him a walk action. So we have walk. There we go. It's a nice long action. So what we end up having him do is he walks along like this. Wow, that's a real nice slow walk. Now note, if I want Sam to walk to the left, I just flip him. He's going to start walking to the left. So that's an easy way to pick your direction, left or right. The other thing that I can do is if he's walking too slow for me, I can crop down this walk. So let's bring it to about there. And he's going to do the same amount of walking, but we're going to cover more territory. Now, how do we move Sam? There's actually a couple ways to move Sam. If I come up to motion, there's a slide right action that will move him from the right in, and then it will move him out to the right. Now, I could connect these two by notice that this is an animation, so I can control the length of them, and then I can now play Sam, and he shouldn't pause in the middle. Well, he does kind of pause in the middle, doesn't he? Okay, now I think one of the reasons for Sam pausing in the middle is that what we can do is come to the action. Oh, first of all, we want to disable fade, so he doesn't fade in and fade out. We get that kind of funny pause in the middle, and then he starts up again. Okay, so that's one way to do the animation. I don't particularly like that. I don't think it turned out very well. So let's get rid of these animations just by clicking on them and right-clicking on them and hitting delete. And now those animations are gone. Let me show you how. Now, he's just walking in the middle of the screen again. And once again, we want to make sure that he's centered. So what's the other way to animate? I could come here and create a custom animation. Check this out. I pick position. Now I can also animate opacity, scale, and stuff like that with custom animations, but I want to do position. And it creates this animation bar, which once again, I can size. Now the thing that really frustrated me about using custom animations is that you have to be able to select the character. So I need to have the position bar over the character, but I also need to be over to the left. So I'm going to define his position at the left of this action, and I need to be outside the action. So I can't initially drag the custom animation all the way over to the left. I have it inside just a little bit. So I can be on the character, but to the left of the animation. So to the left of the animation, he's going to be over here. Now once again, so he doesn't move up and down, let's position him centered up and down, and he's just off the screen. And now, as he walks, he goes to the center of the screen. Now we want him to be off to the right of the screen. So let's come out to the edge where I'm outside the animation on the right, but I'm still over the character so I can select him. And let's move him outside, and then we'll center him up and down. And if we take a look at this animation, it moves from left to right. Whoa, he's booking, isn't he? Okay, so what we might want to do, we could correct that. If we want to slow him back down, just bring the walk sequence to its full sequence and stretch out the custom to the edge. So here we want to be on him, but just outside. And we'll line up custom now that we're not going to be playing with it anymore with the beginning and the end. So now if we play it, he's walking at a moderate pace across the screen. Now notice too that he kind of slows down at the end and he speeds up at the beginning. This is known as easing. Now I can get to easing and change that by right-clicking on the custom animation and picking easing, or I can come here. This is the easing button. So let's pick that. See, he's got this power of 2, which has a speed or a slowdown at the beginning and the end. Now I want both the beginning and the end. See how he sped up and then he slowed down? I want linear. So I want it to be smooth all the way across. And it gives you an example of how it works up here. So now when I play this animation, he should smoothly book across. And he's going pretty slow. Now we can't have him go any slower, right? Because the animation is only, I can't stretch this out any further, right? I can't go further. Actions are of a fixed length, so his walk is going to be this length. I can shorten it and speed it up. But what if I want to make it slower? Well, let me show you this trick. And I'm going to show you a problem with this trick too. I'm going to click on the character, right-click, and say duplicate. Now, we have 2 copies of the character. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 1 copy of the character be on the screen. And then when he hits the end of the first walk sequence, I'm going to wink him out and replace him with another character right in place so you won't even notice. So I'll actually get 2 walk sequences in sequence. Now I'm going to show you why I use multiple characters for this too. Let's pull this in so I can be on the first character, but outside the end of the custom, I want the custom to walk him to the middle of the screen. So the first one walks him to the middle of the screen, but watch what happens to him. He turns and faces forward. Let me move this out, and we'll move this in so that the beginning of this custom is the center of the screen and the end is outside. And then we'll move the custom animation over. So the next character picks up where the other character left off and has another walk sequence. So let's look at it. Now here's the problem with 2 walk sequences. See, now he's walking much slower. Problem with the 2 walk sequences, see that little face forward in the middle? Right in the middle. With every action, Create Studio ends the action with going to a neutral position, which is this, looking forward, so that it can smoothly transition to the next action. The problem is we want a smooth transition from walking to walking. So all you got to do is find where he's still walking. Let's get this out of the way. And we'll take the action and we'll pull it back. And we'll crop off the end of the walk sequence so we don't get that standing forward. And this is the reason why you need 2 characters that you can do this. Because with a second walk, we need to, let's move this over a little. See, he's standing. We don't want him standing, we want him walking. So we want him, say about here. There we go. So we cropped off the front and end of the walk so that there's a smooth transition during the walk. Now we pull this over here. Now when we play this, we should actually get a smooth transition from one walk to the next. And he's walking real slow. So we've really slowed this down. And now, see, he doesn't face forward. He just keeps on walking. So that's the way to get rid of the standard position that all characters return to. You can just crop it off. And here we need 2 copies of the character. This is going to crop it off the end of one walk, and we're going to crop it off the front of the other walk. And you can't crop both sides. If we had 2 walks here, so if I came here and I had another walk, what it would do, there's no way to get to this area here and fix it. So what we're doing is we're splitting the character and doing 2 walks on the character, so I can cut it off the front of this walk and I can cut it off the end of this walk. Let's undo and we'll get back here. So that's a little trick. We looked at walking across the screen now, and you know how to position. Make sure that you have the custom animation just inside your character so that you can select the character but be outside to the left and the right of the custom animation if you want to set the start and end points. And use this little trick of duplicating the character and duplicating the action so that you can cut off the front of the walk and the end of the walk and have a smooth transition. How smooth is this transition? That's pretty good. Now this is also the reason that I centered the character on the screen, because you got to have them right over each other, the first character and the second character, so that you don't get a jump from top to bottom. So that's moving a character. So in the next lecture, we're going to look at customizing a character by changing its colors and more, like adding shadows and so on. In fact, what we're going to end up doing is going through the entire advanced menu, and I'm going to show you all of the things that advanced settings do to a character. I'll see you in that lecture.